Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints Week 6 matchup versus the divisional foe, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I don't think that I need to let any member of the Who Dat Nation know that this game is extremely important. I want to give a special shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now, everybody that's watching this show live. I really do appreciate it. Well, Who Dat Nation, we back at it again. The New Orleans Saints going into this Week 6 matchup at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're coming into this game on a 3-game losing streak, and they have lost their starting quarterback for the next few games, quarterback Derek Carr. But, of course, we know earlier in the week, head coach Dennis Allen announced that Spencer Rattler, the rookie out of South Carolina, will get his first start in the National Football League in a game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we've all seen how excited the Who Dat Nation has been since Dennis Allen has made that announcement. People have been excited about Spencer Rattler since they saw him in preseason, a couple passes that he threw against the Tennessee Titans, and of course, where he came from and his upside. And everybody is looking at this guy as the potential future of this franchise. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but the majority of individuals are looking at him as the future of this franchise. Look, it's easy to look at Spencer Rattler and tell that he doesn't lack confidence. He believes in himself. He believes in his ability. He believes that he belongs in this moment. And in less than an hour, if you're watching this live, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if he is going to be worth the price of admission, or, if this going to be one of those situations where, the expectations were just too high. Now, I will say this. When I say that, I'm not looking for Spencer Rattler to wow me as looking as a fan, as someone that's going to come out here and throw for 300 yards. I'm talking about how is he going to manage himself under pressure, and how is he going to be able to navigate through this defense that Todd Bowles has. Todd Bowles historically has made it very, very tough on rookie quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, as great as he's playing this year, Jaden Daniels, his first game was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he struggled a tad bit. So, we look at this guy, Spencer Rattler, and we want him to be everything and more. But I think we have to take into account and acknowledge the fact that he is indeed a rookie. And if he does come out here looking like a rookie, then it's okay. I'm kind of nervous for this guy because I've been at this for quite some time. I've been at this for quite some time, Who Dat Nation. And I know that some of these Saints fans out here have very little patience. And honestly, God bless them, they don't understand football. They just understand a guy coming into the game, throwing the ball all over the place. And if he can't do that, then he's not good enough. And that is just not fair. We've talked about this team for weeks. We talked about this offensive line. We talked about the running game or lack thereof over the last couple of weeks. So anybody that's just watching this game and looking at this dude to be everything that you want him to be and more, and hopefully he lives up to that part. But if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. And then I'm looking for him to do the little things that I feel like he can actually build on. But all in all, I am excited to see Spencer Rattler in this game. Look, I wanted the Saints to draft him way back during the Senior Bowl. The fact that I actually watched this guy in Alabama do his thing, it was fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I'm also looking to see what this offense is going to do with him as the quarterback. Are we going to see some improvements with the connection between the quarterback and Chris Olave? You also have Rashid Shaheed missing some time over the last couple of days. Like, how would that affect the chemistry between he and Spencer Rattler? And also the tight ends. Also, Kendre Miller coming back, man. How's that going to help Alvin Kamara? Is he going to be able to get some of those snaps? I mean, how much belief will the team have in Kendre coming off that hamstring injury that he hasn't practiced since training camp the very first day? So a lot of unanswered questions. And also the defense, how are they going to be able to bounce back after a tough game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, in Arrowhead? Are they going to be able to improve? You're going to have Willie Gay back into the fold. That's a plus. Won't have Pete Warner. He'll be out for this game once again. And also, of course, we're going to be looking at that offensive line and how they're going to be able to protect Spencer Rattler. But all in all, look, I'm not looking for the savior of the NFL. I'm not looking for the savior of the Saints. I'm looking for someone to come in and facilitate this offense and be able to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. And that's what I'm looking at. But we'll see how this game is going to unfold. But I would love to hear from you. Put your comments down in the chat as we go throughout this episode. The show is powered by BETUS. Sign up today. You'll get up to 125% on your first 3 deposits, up to $2,000. As of today, they have the Saints as a 3.5-point underdog coming into this game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which, I would be remiss to acknowledge, the fact that Tampa is playing with a lot of emotion coming into this game. We all know about the hurricanes that have wrecked the Florida Panhandle, affected Florida over the last couple of weeks. Most recently, Hurricane Milton just devastated the Florida Gulf Coast and the state of Florida. So these guys are going into this game with a lot of emotion, and we know firsthand how that could affect the outcome of a game when a team is playing for more than themselves. We've seen this on several occasions throughout the years when the New Orleans Saints have played in games where they were supposed to be the home team, but they had to evacuate due to due to the circumstances of the hurricane, and they go out there and they blow the doors off folks. So if you combine the fact that Tampa Bay is a really good football team and they're playing with emotion, the Saints better come in with their A game, because nobody is going to sit up there and feel sorry for a quarterback who is getting his first start. They're going to throw everything they possibly can at him to try to rattle him and to make him make a mistake. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, folks. If you are new to the show, you're new to the podcast, just know that all you have to do is put your comments in the chat. We will acknowledge your comments throughout the show. And also special shout out to all those that have checked out the show throughout the time and been sharing these videos, man, been telling people about the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Once again, very, very simple. Put your comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Very, very simple. Put those comments in the chat. And also for those that are going to catch this later, shouts out to the after show, boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out To them after show boys, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all after show boys, after show girls out there. Let's go ahead and get into the chat. Shouts out to Greg. Greg says, I will be glad when Dennis Allen is no longer our coach. He don't get the best out of our players, and he don't know what players to use. Well, I'll tell you this. This is a double-edged sword, in my opinion. You know, for those that want to see Spencer Rattler just absolutely just go off the next couple opportunities that he gets, you got to understand, man, if he does, then more than likely he'll save Dennis Allen's job. So, look, I'm over Dennis Allen. Like, I know people don't want to hear that, but it's just the truth, man. He is what he is. You're not going to get anything out of that. He's a really good defensive minded coach. He's a really good defensive coordinator, but he just leaves a lot to be desired as a head coach. And I just think the sooner the Saints recognize that, the better. I think the Saints' stubbornness is the reason why they're in this situation right now. They're trying to, turn chicken-ish into chicken salad. Not to say that this dude is a terrible person or anything like that. What you're asking him to do is something that he just isn't good at. He's learning about. Look, it's rather you got it or you don't when it comes to being a leader. I'm going to say that again. It's rather you got it or you don't when it comes to being a leader. A leader is not something that a person can be taught to be. It's certain attributes, it's certain characteristics that you're born with. It's just that plain. It's just that simple. If you aren't a leader, nobody can make you one. And it is not a slight on Dennis Allen because he still has really good qualities. But I don't feel like the Saints are going to reach their full potential because I don't feel like he has that personality. He doesn't have that energy to get the best out of the players. To me, it's too much like buddy. Okay, do you feel like doing this? Okay, man, if you don't feel like doing this, go sit over there. No, you got to constantly push these guys, man, and constantly challenge them. And, I just think that, it's just something missing. And I think as soon as the Saints recognize that, I think it's the better. And I think also the Saints kind of set themselves back by appointing him as the head coach because based on his personality, he would have been cool with just being a defensive coordinator. He would have been okay with that. You could have got somebody into the organization that was a leader of men that coached a certain side of football, whether it was offense or defense. And, most likely offense since, Dennis Allen is a defensive-minded guy. And you wouldn't be in this situation right here. You would have had a coach that would be able to challenge guys, would have been able to, make sure that they go the extra mile. And if they don't have it, go to somebody else. You had that. But I think that you combine the fact that the Saints wanted that continuity, the fact that, they understood the salary cap situation. It would have been an uphill battle for somebody just to come in cold. They decided to keep Dennis Allen. But in the process, they ended up setting their franchise back because they had this false sense of reality of what this organization was at the time when they hired Dennis Allen. But it's on them. It's on Dennis Allen. And hopefully the New Orleans Saints learn from this situation. And at the end of the season, rather they find success or not, they decide to go in a different direction as a head coach. I already told you. Somebody asked me, they said, what if Dennis Allen goes on a winning streak? I don't care. What if Derek Carr comes back and he lights it up? I don't care. What if Spencer Rattler lights it up? I do not care. This is not sustainable success. You're not going to be able to get this type of success consistently with a coach like Dennis Allen. That is the reason why the Saints are in this situation right now. Too much of a mixed bag over the last 3 seasons. I don't understand why people are trying to make this thing work. Guess what, folks? If you walk into the house, there's very little communication. If you walk into the house and, nobody's really talking to one another, you go to bed, she goes to bed or he goes to bed and y'all not really talking to each other. Y'all flipping sides. One person looking at the wall on the right, somebody looking at the wall on the left. Guess what? It ain't there, folks. You can't make it there. You can't make it happen. Okay? It's over. And to me, this whole situation that the Saints are going through, they are basically putting themselves through this misery for reasons that are beyond me. Like it is beyond me, folks. It's beyond my pay grade. I don't understand why the New Orleans Saints are trying to make Dennis Allen work for the last couple of years. He is who he is, folks. He's not going to wake up in the morning and turn into Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, Don Shula, or Don Coryell. It just ain't happening. It just not happening. And as soon as the New Orleans Saints accept that, the better, and they can reach their full potential. Look, I'm okay with this whole season and the way that is unfolding. I had the Saints going 10-7. If it doesn't happen, oh well. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the Saints are going through the motions. A lot of bad luck coming this team way. It's like a black cat just walking around a facility and just leaving bad luck pebbles all over the place. Injuries, missed opportunities, miscues, etc., etc. Okay, I'm okay with that this season. But if they try to run this nonsensical stuff back again, I think we need to sit our ass down somewhere. And by that, I mean not being fully committed to this team, because it doesn't seem like this team is fully committed to winning football. That's where I'm at. You ain't winning with Dennis Allen. You're just not. You're not, folks. You're not. Yeah, Todd Bowles' defensive scheme is going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. Look, I was going to come on this show today during the pregame and read off some stats. And I just want people to understand this. Stats don't always tell the entire story. And I'll give you an example. When the Saints played against the Philadelphia Eagles were ranked 27th in rush defense during the time they were coming into the game versus the Saints. And everybody was saying, man, we should be able to run the football on them. We should be able to run the football on them. All of a sudden, Eric McCoy goes out and you couldn't run the football on him. And there are two interior guys, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, just wreak havoc all over the place. So I would encourage individuals to not look at the stats coming into a game of this magnitude. The Saints are averaging defense are only allowing 19.2 points a game. And I want to say Tampa is averaging, their defense is allowing 22. You can't look at stats when it comes to divisional games because everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows who the playmakers are. And more than likely, you basically built your team to try to counteract what your rival does. So to me, throw stats out of the window. This is a game where you're going to have to scratch, bite, and claw in order for you to get the victory. And hopefully you don't have to miss opportunities like the Saints did on defense, guys being out of place, missing tackles, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll find yourself maybe winning a football game. We'll see, though. We'll see. Cooked us. I don't think Bo Nix. Okay, you talking about Bo Nix, the quarterback. Okay, but look, when it comes to that, I think that had a lot to do with Sean Payton. Like, if you look at Tampa Supreme, throughout the time Sean Payton has played against Todd Bowles, that includes when Todd Bowles was with the Jets. Like, the Saints just have his number. Sean Payton has his number, man. Like, the Saints dominated the Jets when the Jets came to town. I want to say it was back in 2017 or something like that, or 2016. It was one or the other, but they just dominated Todd Bowles' Jets. And then, of course, we know about, Sean Payton against Tampa throughout the years. I mean, the games are pretty much pretty much a beatdown. I mean, I just got to call it for what it is. I mean, he just has Todd Bowles' number, but this Todd Bowles has the Saints number over the last couple of meetings, because I think as a head coach, he's only 3-1. So I just think that it has a lot more to do with Sean Payton and his play calling versus Todd Bowles. I just think that you just go up against a guy and he just has your number. And that's what Sean Payton has been to Todd Bowles. But I don't expect for the New Orleans Saints to look the same way as Tampa did against Denver, because I think the advantage the New Orleans Saints have going into that game on Thursday, Dennis Allen has went up against Sean Payton's offense for damn near 10 years, so there's nothing new under the sun there. They know each other. They know where the bodies are buried. They know how to take advantage of opportunities. So to me, when you go into games like that, I think that the experience of going up against each other's teams offensively and defensively on a coaching staff, it plays a huge role. Let's see. He is a rookie playing behind a Swiss cheese offensive line, pretty much. That's a fact. Our fans are very fickle. Yeah, man, I'm not worried about these fans that don't understand football. No disrespect to anybody, but some of these Saints fans, like, they really just like really bother me when they just expect a guy just to be everything that they want him to be. And then you got some people out there that just want this guy to fail. Like, what do you get from this? Like, what do you get from, like, I think I seen a tweet where somebody was saying, I can't wait till Sunday when everybody figure out that Spencer Rattler isn't everything that he don't need to be. I'm expecting this to come from a Falcon fan or a Panthers fan or somebody like that. And it's a Saints fan. Like, what do you get from this? Like, just you want to be right so bad that you're willing to see your team fail in that capacity. I'm not trying to look for my team to fail as much as I feel like it's basically a waste of time having Dennis Allen as your coach. I don't want to see Dennis Allen fail. I would love to say I was wrong about Dennis Allen. I don't think that I will, but I would love to say that. And I just don't understand why people are preying on the downfall. Like, this organization has really made some bad steps over the years, and it has frustrated the members of the Who Dat Nation. And as a Saints fan, you have to find little things to be excited about. And when you have a young kid who has promise and upside that can come in and try to galvanize a fan base, why would you want that to be a failure? I just don't get it, man. Like, people want to root for this team. People want to cheer for this team. People want this team to be successful. It wouldn't bother Saints fans if this team was terrible and they were going through the motions. They would be like, well, this is a rebuild. But when you see the promise and you're seeing them in games, for the exception of the game on Monday night, when you see them in games that they can actually win against individuals that have a really good win-loss record, and they are the reason why they are losing these football games, it's frustrating. I don't understand why people are wanting this whole thing to fail and blow up in people's face just so you can laugh and say, man, I told you so. Like, get real, man. Like, get real. Like, nobody wants to see these dudes fail. If you do, man, then to me, you need to take a really close look in the mirror and evaluate your life. You know, like, I don't know, man. Maybe you need to find a way to find some wins in your life versus trying to find some wins on social media. That to me, that's when social media is completely taking over your life. And it's time to unplug a little bit. But I'm just hoping that this team, I'm just going to say this on record. I don't expect for them to win today. I don't expect for them to win today. But what I want to see is some levels of improvement. I want to see them be able to move the football down the field. And it would not surprise me at all if you see Spencer Rattler struggle a little bit. Now, if he doesn't, then that's a pleasant surprise, but I wouldn't be surprised if this guy struggles. And that's why I'm telling people, like, if it just so happens to be that way, then chill the hell out. Like, that don't mean that the dude is just like this terrible, this awful. Like, I want people to acknowledge that. Like, give these players a chance to figure it out. I like one play, it can be a rookie, unheralded guy, gets beaten coverage. Man, I don't know why they drafted this dude. I don't know why they got this dude. I don't know what he playing for. Why they got him out here? Wide receivers get paid a lot of money to make these plays. A lot of money to make these plays. Everybody is not going to be Darrelle Revis. Everybody ain't going to be Deion Sanders. Everybody ain't going to be Lattimore. It just ain't happening. But I don't understand why people just think that if a guy doesn't walk in being Sauce Gardner off the rip, all of a sudden, like, there's no use for him. People do not know how to evaluate football, and they do not have patience. You got to understand, man, things happen. Guys are young. The experiences that they go through make them better pros. And sometimes it doesn't. But let's not just be, let's just try not to be the first person in line. That's what I don't get. But regardless, I'm just looking for some fundamental things. I mean, going up against a Todd Bowles defense in your first outing, and you have some very talented veteran players that have seen so many different things, have won championships, and have won Super Bowls. And you're going up against these guys, man. There's nothing new under the sun. To me, like we look at a player like Bryce Young or whatever, like he struggled against a veteran Saints defense, right? To me, like if he struggles a little bit against Tampa, I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at it at all, man. I just hope people just, if he does, then I just hope people just give that man a chance, an opportunity to be able to figure things out. Let's see. Misdemeanor crimes, I agree, but Sean wasn't at the time. The Saints don't need a guy that isn't proven. They need a guy. I don't know if we talking about a head coach or whatever. The Saints just need somebody that's going to be able to be a good team builder and also hold guys accountable and also be able to, man, move on with some of these players, man, that just quite honestly, you're kind of setting your team back by still having them on the books, like you got to be able to make these tough decisions, man. Like these contracts are looking like lifetime achievement awards to me. Like I love, Cam Jordan. I love Demario Davis. I love Tyrann Mathieu, as a player, as players on this team, man, and the leaders that they are. But you got to really take a look at the film and take a look at the body of work over the last couple of years, man, and think about, okay, man, if I can get a guy in that spot or, a rotational guy that can come in and provide a spark a little bit, how can I do that? Rather it's through the draft or getting a free agent that's a little bit younger. Like you got to make these tough decisions, man. But I just think that the Saints, they fall in love with these football players because of the human beings that they are. Like it's hard like to sit up here and even like muster up the sentence to try to criticize any of these guys because they're so great. And they have been so great, but look, this isn't, this ain't an award show. Like they not winning lifetime achievement awards. Like they ain't getting the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like this ain't what it is. Like this is football. This is a business, and sometimes you got to make those business decisions. And I think that the Saints set themselves back once again because they don't want to make those decisions at times. Sometimes you got to really look at what you have and make those tough decisions. If you don't, then you find yourself in this situation that you're in right now. Michael, thank you very much for the $1.99. And Josh, thank you very much for $5. Says if defense really wins championships, then the Saints and Bucks both would have like 10 Super Bowl reigns from the 80s and 90s. Well, that is indeed true. I mean, defense wins championships, but it needs to be accompanied by a few other things as well. So that's the way, I look at it. I mean, I think that you need a defense in order for you to win a championship, but you also need other things. Also, you need a quarterback that can make some plays. You need a running game, especially coming up there around where you at, Josh, in those cold areas, around Wisconsin and, in the NFC when they're playing in some of these cold games. You got to be able to bring a really good defense and a running game with you. So, if the Saints like construct the way that this team is structured and the direction that it's going in, it can generate success. Like committing to the wide zone, maybe getting some younger like players, better offensive line play, young players to run the football, better offensive line play to be able to make these blocks. I mean, I would love for the New Orleans Saints to kind of be like the 49ers. I mean, I was watching them on Thursday night, and I'm like, man, okay, so Mason, the backup running back rather, for Christian McCaffrey, dude comes into the game after Chris McCaffrey has been injured all season long, and he leading the league in rushing. And then he goes out, then they just bring in some dude named Taylor and some rookie out of Louisville, and those guys are getting 4 and 5 yards a clip. Like, I'm like, man, it don't matter who they put back there. Like, they could put me back there and I'll lead the league in rushing. Like, it's unbelievable, man, the way that team is structured. So I think the Saints are going in the right direction. I just think that they need different players. They need personnel changes, when it comes to this team. And I think that they'll reach their full potential. That's why, I'm not even upset. Like, when these other division rivals come into the chat and they're making fun of the misfortunes of the Saints, I just laugh because I know that the main reason why the New Orleans Saints are failing is not because they don't have a good team. It's been a lot of bad luck. So we're talking about this team being suspect in this position maybe 1 year. Like, okay, cheer, you know what I'm saying? Celebrate your division title if it works in your favor. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, if the Saints fix some of these issues, they get younger and they get a better offensive line play, then guess what? They right back into the fold and probably even more dangerous than any of these other teams in the division. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So they just got to fix some of these little small things to me. I'm okay with it because if you look around this team, it's just bad luck everywhere, here, there, everywhere. It just seems like this season, this team is snake bitten. No pun intended, Spencer Rattler, but I'm just saying, like, it just, I guess people want this team to be snake bitten in a positive way if you're talking about Spencer Rattler being a quarterback. Let's see, TJ, I believe the Saints are going to show up today. Good luck. The Buccaneers aren't all that. I'm pulling for Spencer Rattler. Well, they may not be all that, but look, I respect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a really fundamentally sound football team. And, they win games that, they win those tough games. And, look, if you combine the fact that these guys are emotional coming into this football game, everything that's going on in Florida, the fact that they've been displaced for over a week, they've been in New Orleans all week long due to the hurricane, and they're playing for something bigger than themselves today. So, look, it wouldn't surprise me if they win. As a matter of fact, I think they are going to win. I'm sorry, Who Dat Nation, but until I see otherwise when it comes to some of these decisions and his offense moving in the right direction and his defense stepping up and living up to the potential, it's hard for me to pick against them in a team that, I know in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that more times than not, they're prepared for any situation. And, I would be picking the Saints just for the simple fact that I just like the Saints. And y'all know I don't roll like that. Now, anybody knows me knows that I would love to be wrong about this situation, but I'm not going to lie to you to kick it, folks. I look at Tampa on this day as a more better prepared team than the Saints are right now. The Saints are kind of going through the motions, throwing stuff at the wall, hoping that it stick. And it's kind of hard for me to sit up here and just not acknowledge the fact that you have issues on the offensive line. You've been having issues running the football. Adjustments have been very few in between when it comes to the offense, making those adjustments to try to win football games. And not to mention your defense pretty much in shambles right now. They can't stop the run. You got some players in the linebacker position, like, they're rotational guys, mostly on special teams coming off the practice squad. And then your secondary, man, I mean, you got some good players over there, Marshawn Lattimore and, Tyrann Mathieu, even he's had his struggles over the last couple of weeks. And Paulson Adebo, like, look, Lord knows we know that he's been struggling. So, man, it's a lot of issues that this team is dealing with. And I just think that we can't just turn a blind eye to that. So to me, it's going to be an uphill battle for them. It's going to be an uphill battle for this team to win this football game today. And they are going to attack. They are going to attack Paulson Adebo. They are going to attack him. They are going to make sure that they're throwing the ball to his side. They're, and Baker, Baker is a little bit arrogant. So you'll see Mike Evans go up against Marshawn Lattimore quite a bit in this game, so he's going to try to get the ball to Mike Evans in this game quite often. It doesn't matter if Marshawn Lattimore is on there. We're going to see. We're going to see. Said TJ, we need to have a changing of the guard because they haven't proved they can get the talent or coach it up. The roster is pretty bad because we waste draft picks and then pick trash. Yeah, proven guys, that's the ones that you need to go with versus, projects. And I just think that the Saints, when they're evaluating, they look mostly at what guys' attributes, achievements are versus what their upside is. Like, for example, I'm just using him as an example. He's not a bad player. I think that he has a lot of promise. But DeMarco Jackson came from App State. He was a captain of their defense, and I think that played a huge role. Not so much about his play. It was just the fact that, he was a captain, right? And you look at some of these decisions. Oh man, he was Isaiah Foskey. He's a all-time leader in sacks at Notre Dame, and he's a captain. He was a captain and all that. Like that's cool and all. Good dudes are captains, and you show that they can actually be leaders. But sometimes it's more than that. It's okay to have some nice guys in your locker room. You know what I'm saying? Some handshakers and baby kisses. It's cool. It's cool, but you also need some dogs inside of your locker room too. I know people don't really want to deal with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson type personalities, but you need those type of guys inside of the locker room. You need a mixture of individuals inside of your locker room, man. You need guys that are going to go get it, that are wired a little bit differently from others. And I just think that a bunch of Boy Scouts inside of your locker room not always going to do it. Guys saying the right things, doing the right things, and, you know, have a whole bunch of trophies on their walls and medals, you know, from, you know, the Boy Scouts of America. That ain't going to cut it. I just think that you need some aggression. I think that you need some guys out there, you know, that's going to continue to fight, that's going to continue to grind, you know, that has this confidence within themselves, no matter how the play goes, you know, the trash talkers, you know, the guys that can incite like some type of emotion from the opposition. You need that. And, you know, to me, the draft process has been straight hot garbage. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's been straight hot garbage. You have a few hits throughout that time. You know, Tallahassee Fuanga, he looks like he's a hit. Alante Taylor looked like he's a hit. Kool-Aid, you know, I think that he's a hit. But for the most part, man, I mean, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. And I'm just questioning, like, what is your evaluation process? Like, you need some dogs on the team too, versus like just having a bunch of guys who played for, you know, in college for a long time, Senior Bowl MVP, you know, had a C on his jersey in college. Like, need more than that. Kendre Miller needs to be cut. He does not want to be here. He constantly gets hurt and serves no purpose here. I disagree with that. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to get injured. But when Kendre Miller is in a game, he's noticeable. So it's not like he comes into the game and he's looking like Jamal Williams. Like the last time this guy had some playing time, like he almost went over 100 yards, you know, in the game. So I don't think that he's terrible. And and with all due respect, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. This guy only played one season of football, and we already saying that the guy don't want to be here. With all due respect, Dylan, this is what I'm talking about. We got to have some patience when it comes to these dudes, and we can't just look at the circumstance. Like, look what he does when he's out there on the field. He makes plays. He's impactful. It's not like he just out there like, oh, Kendre Miller, number 25, is out there. The reason why most Saints fans are angry that Kendre Miller isn't playing is because when Kendre Miller is playing, he makes an impact. Like, think about how many times, like, I mean, I've been doing this show quite a few times. Peyton Turner, throughout his NFL career, has been injured. I have not seen many people come in here talking about what Peyton Turner going to do, what Peyton Turner has, so he can do this, that, and the third. I ain't seen it. The reason why people are upset about Kendre Miller and why his name constantly is because people see the capability of what Kendre Miller can do. Kendre is a straight up bona fide dog, man. I don't know what you're watching, with all due respect. That's the reason why people are upset. Like, if he were just some Joe Blow, then I don't think people would be sitting up here caring about his activation status, which he is active today. So more than likely, he'll probably get some snaps. But all I'm saying is nobody really gets upset about guys that aren't capable of doing anything. Like I said, with respect, Dylan, I feel you, but we got to be patient when it comes to these players. Like, we can't just sit up here and just call a guy a bust 1 year into his NFL career. Like, the dude hasn't done anything for us to sit up here and just say the dude is a bust. And then on top of that, he's a third-round pick. Like, coming out of TCU, already has some injuries. If we want to blame somebody, blame the organization. Because I like Kendre, and I think that he is very underrated as a every down back. I think that he can be, because TCU didn't really use him in that capacity. But he can catch, and he can run in between the tackles. And if he can get his injury situation under control, I think that he can be the future of the franchise as a running back. I really, truly believe that. But if you want to blame somebody, blame the organization for drafting a guy who in the semifinals of the college football playoff was hurt. He tore his ACL against Michigan, and the Saints still decided to draft him in the third round when you had other opportunities where you could have got other guys who were late round draft picks you could have picked up and they could have made an impact, but you didn't. And Matt Drummer says he is inactive. Well, he's a healthy scratch because they activated him off injury reserve. So that tells you that more than likely he'll probably, if he's not playing today, he'll probably play Thursday. So I don't know. Like I said, upon the making of this live, I didn't, the injury report wasn't out. So I don't know who's active, who's inactive. So let me go ahead and take a look at it. They usually like come out with the actives and the inactives, like maybe like 40, 45 minutes before the game start. So whatever happened, it is happening in real time. So I'll take a look, man. Let me try to see if I can actually pull something up about the actives and the inactives. Because, yeah, but even with that, I mean, he's inactive. Okay, according to Nick Underhill, he is inactive for this game. So they activated him off the injury reserve list. So he more than likely will probably play on Thursday. So I ain't got no problem with that. TJ, they didn't activate Kendre Miller. He is not playing today. Well, off the IR, there's a certain amount of time that he can, you can, say that, okay, man, we about to activate him off the IR list. They give you I think maybe like 21 days or something like that for him to do that. So the fact that they actually, activate him off that means that he can actually play eventually. So if he doesn't play today, more than likely they'll probably let him play on Thursday night versus the Denver Broncos. If he's a healthy scratch, I'm gonna be upset. Besides AK, what is our running backs doing? I don't know what's going on with that. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't know. I think that they not putting the right guys on the field that can make plays. To me, I don't know, man. It just I don't know. If you're doing, I guess if you're doing something in practice or something, they feel like, okay, if you do it in practice, you're gonna do it in a game. I don't know, man. Look, I feel like when you're kind of desperate and you need to win, you need to make sure that you put the best players on the field that can make some plays. But maybe it's something deeper than that. I don't know. But I just hope that they're not setting themselves back this way. What we need is Jeff Ireland and our new GM, and let him bring in his own guys. I think it's a little deeper than that. Like we have to understand Jeff Ireland is the one that's scouting these guys. He's the one that's recommending these guys. And to me, he kind of losing his fastball as well. I think that I really truly believe the Saints just need a new fresh of eyes in that front office. That includes like Jeff Ireland moving on as well. Like, I think that you need to get yourself somebody else up in here. Like, Jeff Ireland had I say for the exception of 2017, Jeff Ireland really been missing and, and hitting, and more so missing than hitting. So we like to say Mickey and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Mickey is the final say so, but Jeff Ireland is responsible for scouting these guys and recommending these guys for them to draft his scout team. So to me, I don't understand the hype behind Jeff Ireland anymore. Anyway, Jeff Ireland is that guy who went off for 50 points, and we just think that's still a dog. But if you look at it, it was just a hot night. You know what I'm saying? It was just a night he just got hot and couldn't miss. But, now he's averaging maybe like 13 points, a game. That's the way I feel about it. Like, I'm not that impressed about Jeff Ireland either. I think that this is the reason why the Saints in a situation in the first place. No, I don't feel like he needs to be the general manager. I think the Saints need to outsource. They need to find somebody that is on a come up, a young, energetic guy. I mean, that can, be able to burn the midnight oil, to be able to come together and put together a scout team that can bring some winners in, not just some guy that was just a captain for all 4 years on a football team. I'm not impressed. Like, I don't understand how anybody can be impressed with Jeff Ireland. Like, the reason why we're upset about some of these draft picks has a lot to do with Jeff Ireland. But hey, that's just me. I agree, TJ. We need a new voice for head coach and new GM. Yep. I think we need a new assistant GM. You pretty much screwed when it comes to the general manager. Look, talking about Mickey Loomis is just a waste of time. Mickey Loomis isn't going anywhere. He's not. So your best bet is to get people with a different voice that can possibly persuade him that, man, this is a new era, this is a new time, this is what works, et cetera, et cetera. That's your best option right there. So getting a guy like, replace a guy like Jeff Ireland and replacing the scouting staff, that's probably your best bet. Like, Mickey Loomis ain't going anywhere. Saying we need to fire Mickey Loomis is a waste of time. He ain't going anywhere. The only way that Mickey Loomis can go anywhere if he just wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I think I done had enough. I think it's time for me to retire. Unless he says that, then guess what, folks? He's going to keep on being the general manager of this football team because he's not only just the general manager, he is the vice president of the New Orleans Saints. Gail Benson, Dennis Lauscher, Mickey Loomis. Third in line. If something was to happen to Gail Benson and Dennis Lauscher, Mickey Loomis would be the owner of the Saints. That is the pecking order, folks. So saying, oh, man, he needs to be fired. And like, you're literally asking somebody to fire themselves. And unless they find Mickey Loomis in a dark alley on Bourbon Street, you know what I'm saying, with a nickel bag in his hand, in one hand, and a lady of the evening in the other, he ain't going nowhere. So sit back, enjoy, and hope that, the guys below them can possibly persuade him to make better decisions. That's just the reality of it. Just left church, game time, go Bucks. What's going on, Brent? Thank you for being here. Shouts out to Brent, man. Says someone from Tomlin's front office at GM, they draft talent year in and year out, especially wide receivers, or somebody from the 49ers front office. They do a pretty good job as well. Green Bay front office, they do a damn good job. Baltimore front office, they do a really good job. Like Baltimore, they draft players and they give them second contracts. The majority of the guys that you see on Baltimore team, they drafted. Kyle Hamilton, they drafted. The defensive lineman in a BK, drafting them, right? I mean, you might have some other guys that, around that the supporting cast, like you'll bring in a Derrick Henry to be a running back, but Lamar Jackson, homegrown. Majority of the offensive line, homegrown. Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers of all time, homegrown. Like, they do a really good job at scouting these guys. And then, not to mention, I know that it's preseason, but it's the fact that they had that long winning streak in preseason just tells you that they actually know what they're doing when it comes to play evaluation, because they can put any guy out there and they show promise. As a matter of fact, the kicker that the Saints had for several years, Will Lutz, he was a part of the Baltimore Ravens, but they decided to keep Justin Tucker instead of him. And he went on with the New Orleans Saints and made some clutch kicks for the Saints throughout the years. So to me, that's who you're looking at. You're looking at organizations like that. Those are the ones that you want to try to find people within that organization to bring in and be able to do their thing. Rookies struggle their first game and get better as they go. So I hope everyone chill and let him grow. Yeah, man, I'm just looking at this game for what it is, a football game. 33-9 Saints at halftime. I don't know about that, bro. Next man up, this is a must-win game. Your second string should be as competent as the first stringers. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why you have your first stringers out there, King Arthur. But, yeah, I agree, man. You should be able to get something out of those second string guys, because those second string guys should be flirting with starting caliber. Well, they should be flirting with first team. So I get what you're saying. Says, we still got Wilson and Tipton on the team who haven't proved anything. Peyton Turner making easy money. We need a whole new rebrand next year, man. We have so much potential. I agree. I just think that, but this is what happens, man, when you kick the can down the road and you don't have that real good look in the mirror about who you are and what you are as a franchise. This is what you get, dog. This is what you get, Eric. You get couch cushion type players. I mean, it's just the reality. Not to say that these dudes are just ultimately trash, but They ain't starting nowhere other than where the Saints at. You might be able to start maybe 1-2 teams at best. But that's what you're doing, man. When you kick a can down the road in desperation time, you lobbing the ball up, hoping that an undrafted guy out of Yale will catch the football. And to me, like, you have nobody to blame but yourself. So that's where the New Orleans Saints are at. I'm just looking for this team to just do some things that they haven't done in the last couple of weeks. How about not beat yourself? If Tampa just so happens to be the best team on the field on this day, then it is what it is. Like I said, you've been having bad luck all year long. Things haven't been going your way all year long. But don't go out there and lose to yourself. Kendre Miller is leeching off of the Saints for about a year. How is he doing it? How is he doing it? Like, it's not his fault that it ain't his fault that they didn't activate him today. You know, I don't know. When are we gonna start blaming this organization for some of these decisions that are being made? When are we gonna start blaming this organization instead of just looking at the players? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's kind of silly sometimes, like, for us to sit up here and go year after year and not look at the organization and some of the incompetent moves that they have made throughout the last 3 seasons. But we always looking at the player. We call Michael Thomas crazy. We're calling other guys bust. But when you have a history of being injured in college or was injured in college, like Peyton Turner and Kendre Miller were, like, all of a sudden, like, you're going to get to the NFL and you're not going to be injured anymore? Like, who are we looking at in that regard? So, I don't know. Players are going to do what players do. It's up to these organizations to make sure they're picking the right guys. Well, TJ, is Mickey Loomis not going anywhere? I feel sorry for the Saints' future. He's not going anywhere. So, like I said, your best bet is to get somebody in here that can be underneath him, that can kind of have him, it's almost like, if you're a young guy and, like, you go to a club with the OG, right? Like, hey, man, this is the new dance everybody doing right here, man. Come on, man, do that dance with me. Like, oh, I got to do this. I got to move my leg like this. I got to move my arm like this. Yeah, man, you got it. You got it. That's what they need. They need some young, vibrant assistant general manager, with some bright, fresh ideas that can get Mickey Loomis on board, that can kind of push him to be like, okay, look, we need to start doing this. We need to start, like, structuring our team like this. This is what you need from, the same front office. So there you have it, folks. That's the way I feel. But we'll be back for halftime for the Saints versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. And, of course, we got the post-game show that will be available on Bleacher Report first. So make sure that you follow on Bleacher Report. I'll make sure I put that link up, so it'll be available for halftime. We'll do a post-game show on Bleacher Report, and then we'll come right back here to the State of the Saints podcast channel, and we'll talk about the Saints versus Buccaneers. Look, I'm just looking to see a game where the New Orleans Saints do some things to improve. All right, like I said, I don't expect for them to win this football game. I don't have a score. I think that the Saints will play much better than they did against Kansas City. I mean, look, they played against the best quarterback of his generation in Patrick Mahomes, the king of improvisation, the king of making plays when they broken down. And, they're just a well-structured championship football team. And there's levels to this, okay? But I just expect for them to play much better, not expecting for Spencer Rattler to go out there and just set the world on fire. If he does, great, pleasant surprise. But I'm willing to give this guy, a pass if it doesn't work out, because the offensive line is in shambles. The running game hasn't really done much of anything. And you also have some wide receivers out there that's kind of going through the motions because of the lack of connection between quarterback and receiver. So we'll see, man. Should be a fun game. Should be exciting to see a young quarterback who we haven't seen in a major NFL game. It's been a while since we saw that as a New Orleans Saints team. As a fan base, to see that. And the last time we saw was Ian Book, but we know why Ian Book was in the game. He had no business being in that game at all. But it's kind of the same similar situation, being thrust into the lineup with a makeshift offensive line. So let's see what Spencer Rattler can do against the Tide Bulls defense. My name is Timothy J. Jones, and this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and its content. Once again, we'll be back for halftime, break down the first half of the Saints versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Enjoy the game, Who Dat Nation, sports fans everywhere. Till next time, all I got to say is, Who Dat?
This video is brought to you by BETUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.